When we think about crypto, most people think immediately Bitcoin or Ethereum, or maybe it's meme coins, whatever was hyped up and talked about for, years on end. That's what they're locked in on. Even outside of crypto, if you talk to people about crypto, the first thing that they mention is, isn't that Bitcoin? Because they are unaware of what's actually in this space. And when I say that, I mainly mean utility-based projects. Utility-based crypto projects is something that a lot of people actually don't even know about. They're unaware of it. In fact, most people actually don't even understand what crypto is. That's why today, when we actually look at this space, we look at Bitcoin at a 2.3, almost a $2.4 trillion market cap. And then we look at projects like XRP, or if we scroll down, XLM or HBAR or even XDC. Like these projects, just for reference, XDC is all the way down here at number 69 at a almost $1.3 billion market cap. It's a $1.3 billion market cap while Bitcoin has a $2.3 trillion market cap. I just really want you guys to understand this because today, Bitcoin is barely utilized for anything. Transactions are extremely slow on Bitcoin. They're extremely expensive as well. Most of them fail. You have to utilize a layer 2 network, which is extremely first off, it's extremely frustrating. Okay, I've talked about this in previous videos as well. Layer 2 networks, the problem with layer 2 networks is that they are vulnerable to hacks. They're vulnerable to attacks as well. A lot of them are extremely clunky. Transactions fail constantly on them. And that's exactly what Bitcoin is reliant upon. Like, for an example, the Lightning Network. But Bitcoin still remains the number one crypto at $2.3 plus trillion. And we ask ourselves, why is it worth that value? Well, I actually don't think it is worth that value. The only reason why Bitcoin is as high as it is because of the network effect, buying and selling. But when the hype dries up around Bitcoin, what will happen? Well, I do think that Bitcoin will be flipped. I actually think that the top 10 in the coming years is going to look completely different. This is why I actually put a focus on other projects. Sorry for interrupting the video, but I have to let you guys know that I am now officially partnered up with ITrustCapital, the best platform out there for premium custody accounts and even crypto Roth IRAs. They offer 80 plus digital assets, including even physical gold and silver. They have partnerships with some of the biggest players out there, and they also have full-on institutional grade security tied into these accounts, which is extremely important at a time where we are starting to see more and more crypto exchanges being hacked. And also, the best part about ITrustCapital is that it's 100% US-based support. And also, you can get $100 right now as a funding bonus if you sign up utilizing my link. There's going to be a link down in the description below as well as in the comments below. If you go over here, you can just scroll down to the bottom and you can sign up utilizing my link, which allows you to get $100 in a funding bonus. And for a little bit more information here you have on their website, 0% no monthly annual fees, 1% cryptocurrency transaction fees, and then we also have the prices with gold and silver. So if you guys do want to go check this out, you guys are more than welcome to. I do think that this is the best platform to lock in on long-term crypto investments with, of course, the crypto IRA platform, which is tax advantaged. So with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. Like, for an example, XRP. Okay, if we think about XRP, and let me refresh CoinMarketCap because it's being a little bit annoying. But if we actually look back in time, this is what the 1 year looks like. XRP is currently up 418% almost. This is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up currently on the 1 year, 84%. I mean, this is compared to XRP's 400+% gains, but we won't hear much about XRP. But if we look at the all-time chart here for XRP, this thing is coiling up for the next big surge to the upside. And this is where I think everyone starts to really kind of wake up to the idea that, yeah, altcoins do have immense potential to get to Bitcoin's levels. We might not get there this cycle, but the fact that XRP is waking up the way that it is and, becoming the altcoin that it is today, it shows us that the entire market is evolving. The focus is starting to be put on these utility-based projects where institutional players are tapping in, stablecoins are growing, tokenized assets are growing, and they are the future. These are the networks that are the future. Even XLM. XLM is up 300+% on the yearly. This is also outperforming Bitcoin. Believe it or not, XLM has been outperforming Bitcoin this entire year. And the all-time chart for XLM still looks extremely bullish from my perspective. And let me just get Bitcoin off this list so that you guys can see it. This is what the XLM chart looks like. We're starting to get that nice surge to the upside where we most likely will break out even higher and go to $1 plus on XLM. But the fact that these types of projects are still overlooked at a time where regulatory discussions are heating up and regulations could very well be here by the end of this month or even by the end of this week, I mean, it's crazy to me that people are avoiding these types of projects. And of course, Hedera, we can't forget Hedera. Hedera has been a very successful project. I actually personally think that HBAR will be extremely expensive very soon because of all of the adoption and all of the news happening around Hedera. All of the significant partnerships that they've been announcing are very, very big. You even see the one on the right side with Lloyd's Bank and even Archix. I mean, they are absolutely killing the game right now. And then, of course, XDC, right? So I talked about XDC in the beginning of the video simply because, $1.27 billion of market cap. A lot of people actually don't even understand what XDC is doing with trade finance, which is trillions and trillions of dollars, yet the market cap for XDC is only $1.27 billion. It's insane to me how undervalued some of these utility-based projects are. Now, I'm bringing all this up because if we look at Google Trends, almost nobody is looking at utility-based crypto projects. I mean, the trends go back 5 years. It's starting to pick up a little bit. We're starting to see a little bit of focus put on utility-based crypto, but for the most part, we are still focused on Bitcoin. We're still focused on meme coins, and I do think that that's going to change. I think it's all going to change very soon. Back in May of 2022, actually, the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, said banking in the shadow of Bitcoin, the institutional adoption of cryptocurrencies. This actually broke down how things behind Bitcoin were starting to really grow. And again, it's because Bitcoin is one of the largest distractions to anyone entering into the crypto market. I also say the same thing about meme coins, right? Because meme coins are also one big distraction. They're like the get rich quick scheme. Oh, jump into Dogecoin or jump into Shiba Inu or jump into this new meme coin because it could 10x in, hours and it could do a 1000x by the end of the month. Like all of this hype and speculation is not good for the space. Why? Well, because newcomers jump into these projects, they get rug pulled and then they never want to touch crypto again. Meme coins and these hyped up altcoins as well, they're all nonsense. They're all just a waste of time and they're all just one big distraction. But what's crazy about this is from 2022 on, stablecoins became that big thing around finance. $243 almost billion market cap for stablecoins, $2.8 trillion a monthly transfer volume. The monthly active addresses just continue to grow. We're actually up 18% in the last 30 days at 35.47 million. And the holders are over 171 plus million. This just continues to grow and grow and grow. And same goes for even, tokenization. Tokenized RWAs on chain just surged about 7% in the last 30 days. We're at 25.65 billion. This is also continuing to grow more and more. And I don't think I see Bitcoin at all under the network tab. And this is very interesting because, well, why is Bitcoin number one then? Right? Like we can understand Ethereum. Ethereum is absolutely surging in terms of RWA total value and even the stablecoins as well. But I don't see Bitcoin on here. This is why I keep saying that as we start to see the market evolve more and more and more around tokenization and around stablecoins, Bitcoin is going to lose that number one spot. And hey, maybe first it's Ethereum that it loses it to. But I do think that going forward, we'll continue to see altcoins gain a lot of traction. Even Standard Chartered, right? They said that stablecoins overshadowed Bitcoin in discussions. $750 billion market size could trigger macroeconomic shifts. This was on July 15th. Standard Chartered says stablecoins surprisingly drew more attention than Bitcoin during recent US meetings, despite Bitcoin hitting record highs. A $750 billion stablecoin market size could influence treasury issuance and emerging market stability, according to the bank. And yeah, it's because stablecoins are becoming massive. And the networks that they're actually listed on are the ones that are going to reap the reward. So we look at these networks. These networks are extremely bullish. But we continue to hear the Bitcoin crowd talking. Bitcoin's next catalyst has arrived. Simply put, institutional capital can no longer ignore the returns that Bitcoin is providing. What if we're thinking about this, okay? We know how much money's out there, all right? Currently, there is an estimated 31 trillion in institutional assets under management in the US. If just 1% of US institutional capital flows into Bitcoin, this could drive another 300 billion plus into the asset. Factor in global institutional assets under management, and we could see 1 trillion plus flow into Bitcoin. What's funny about this is it's all Bitcoin. But if they're looking at the gains here and the returns, well, XRP is outperforming Bitcoin. XLM is outperforming Bitcoin. HBAR is also outperforming Bitcoin on the yearly. XDC also outperforming Bitcoin on the yearly. So what gives? What's the big deal here? What's the big catalyst for all of these crypto assets? Well, it is institutional money, but it's not just about Bitcoin anymore. And the main thing that we're actually looking at is crypto regulations. Yesterday, we got news that the bill passed, or failed to pass, sorry. I mean, today's going to be a different story. Obviously, by the time that this video goes live, we'll probably already have, all three crypto bills, passed today. We have Rep. French Hill says he is confident that all three crypto bills will pass today. Do you agree? I don't know what's going to happen here, but we do know that yesterday it didn't really work out, and today is a new day. But check this out.
I guess rumblings that maybe the votes weren't there, and then the president met with some individuals yesterday. Are you confident now the votes are there?
I believe that we do have the votes to advance the Senate Genius Act, which will create the first federally regulated, with clear rules, dollar-backed payment stablecoin, which will unleash a new competitive round in how payments are done when they're used in a blockchain application. We also have the House's work on market structure, which we've worked through the House Ag Committee and the House Financial Services Committee. Strong bipartisan support for that bill. And then finally, Whip Tom Emmer of Minnesota. Mr. Emmer has his bill that blocks the federal government from creating a central bank digital currency through the Fed unless it's done with a specific authorization through Congress. So I believe that the House has the votes for those three measures, and the Speaker is working this morning on how they'll be coordinated and presented to the House for consideration.
So we are now coming down the wire on all of these big moves happening around crypto legislation, and it seems as though we are on the cusp of everything changing. And what I mean by that is we're going to see an immense amount of focus put on utility-based crypto projects. And we've been hearing about how trillions of dollars could be unlocked because of regulations, and how crypto is actually going to be the new financial system, essentially. We even have over here, U.S. House Committee on Financial Services says the era of digital assets is no longer just a promise. It's a national priority. Yeah. I mean, listen, everything is starting to change around crypto. Everyone is embracing crypto. Institutional players, government players, enterprise players, you name it. Everyone is now talking about crypto. And what we keep hearing about is how blockchain is the future of America. Check this out.
Well, I think what's happened is that some people are looking into what's called the Genius Act. That's the issue that passed out of the Senate, coming over to the House, and we would potentially sign, which the president supports. There's some concern that people think there could be a backdoor way to get a CBDC through the Genius Act. I happen to disagree with our fellow Republican members, and I think when they spend time with the chairman of the committee, people like French Hill, let alone Tom Emmer, our whip, I think some of those fears will be alleviated. But we need to pass crypto legislation. The blockchain is the future of America in the sense that we can better track dollars so that corruption doesn't take place, but more importantly, that you have the freedom of movement with your own dollars and never controlled by the government. So I think we could pass this crypto legislation, make the United States the center of cryptocurrency, and make sure that places like China is not the center of cryptocurrency. Right. But we'll listen to these members, but again, I think their concerns right now are a little bit unfounded.
And yeah, we are in a big tech race here. They are racing against China and every other nation that wants to be, behind crypto in a big way, because they are all aware of how big this technology actually is going to be. But remember, it's not just about Bitcoin anymore. The tone is changing. Everything is starting to shift. And the main thing that we're actually looking at here is stablecoins, tokenization, and what networks this is actually possible on. Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin, we already know 99% of this stuff is not possible. When it comes to Ethereum, Ethereum right now might be a top dog around, stablecoins and even tokenization, but for how long, right? Because once we start to see these things scale, all of a sudden, all of the bottlenecks around Ethereum start to become a reality. And institutions, well, they're going to start to jump ship. That's why the EVM sidechain and things like that around these networks is so crucial, because it helps bridge all of that over in a very quick and easy and secure way. And that's what I foresee happening, is a flood from Ethereum into these great networks that are actually capable of handling these types of things at scale. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.